Then. Okay, coming up on my show now, it's a pleasure to interview Sarah Jane Morris, who is an acclaimed UK female vocalist in her own right. She's with me to chat about her latest project. But first, I just wanted to welcome you on my show, Sarah. How are you today?
I'm fine, thanks. The sun was shining this morning, so spring is here.
That's great to hear. So I usually ask my first guest this question. Can you just tell me a little bit more about your musical background, your journey, where it kind of began for you?
Right, well, I have no musical training whatsoever. I never studied music in school, and I've never really studied it since. But somehow I forked out a 46-year career. But it was an accident. I fell into singing when I was studying to be an actress at one of the top London schools, the Central School of Speech and Drama. And I didn't like drama school. I felt like everybody was the son or daughter of somebody rich and famous. I think it was just my chip on the shoulder, but nevertheless, that's how I saw it. So I left without the final year of cell. And to try and get my equity card, I started singing with a fellow actor who could play the piano and discovered that I'd got this really unusual baritone voice, very low voice for a woman. And we started playing in pubs and clubs, and people would ask us back. And somehow I fell into having a singing career. But it took years before I was a writer too, because I think I always imagined that Tom Waits or someone like that would be writing for me, but it didn't happen. And so I had to become a writer. Otherwise, I'd have just been covering other people's songs for the rest of my career. And I think it took me until I was about 50 years old to become a good songwriter because I had a long way, a lot of catching up to do. But I do feel like I can call myself a singer-songwriter now happily and hold my head up high and have my work heard and not be embarrassed.
That's good to hear. And just taking it back, to the start, in your household, what types of styles of music were you like listening to, on your record player?
Okay, so I had one of those really cheap little dance set um, pieces because I'm a big family. It came from a big family, six brothers. There was no money, so with my, back then you could work at 14 and have a weekend job. So I saved up for my own record player, and I was a soul girl. I was also a northern soul girl. So I was with my friend Lorraine pretending to stay at her place where the two of us were on a bus to Wigan to the casino. We were doing backflips and we really saw ourselves as northern soul girls. But so soul music, particularly, I loved Stax, I loved the Atlantic sound, I loved Motown, um, but at the same time, I was loving Captain Beefheart and more unusual music, and I was a big Bowie fan. And I can remember when I was about 13 years old when Life on Mars came out. With my best possible handwriting, I wrote out the lyrics for every member of my class. That was how into Bowie I was.
Lovely.
Um, but I loved music right across the board. But I feel very fortunate that my teenage years were in the 70s when music was fantastic. You'd got Sly and the Family Stone, you'd got Stevie Wonder, you'd got Carole King, you'd got Aretha Franklin, you'd got Gladys Knight, you'd got Otis Redding, you'd got Bobby Womack, all of that happening at the same
Yeah.
time. So there was a lot for me to be influenced by.
Yeah. And you've had such an impressive career, over the years. And one of the reasons I invited you on is to talk about your latest project. But there's just one question I'll ask, and you probably get asked it so many times. It's been 4 decades this summer since "Don't Leave Me This
I
Way."
know.
And will you be doing anything to celebrate this milestone?
Well, I was approached last year by a French documentary company called Arte. They're a German-French company, and they wanted to make a documentary about Jimmy and his importance. And it's crazy that it wasn't an English company, but anyway, Jimmy and Richard had named their band after the French Communards, so I suppose it was inevitable that it would be French. And they wanted to see if I could put all of the communards back together again. Could I be part of it? So they used my home as the base, and everybody came here and was filmed and interviewed. And they contacted my son, who's a gay singer-songwriter, who they knew had a falsetto voice, and they asked him to learn one of Jimmy's songs. So the whole documentary opens up with my son Otis's hands playing Small Town Boy, and then later in the documentary singing it. So we were very much part of revisiting, that which Jimmy has done throughout his incredible career. Because Bronski Beat, it was groundbreaking. And then the Communards was the follow up, which was what I was part of. But it was a very interesting period to be part of, and I think he does deserve to be celebrated. And we're very much trying to get UK releases for this documentary because we went to Paris to the huge launch of it in November. But Jimmy has retired. He retired 2 years ago. Up until that point, every year he and I were getting together for the Rewind festivals, and we were pretending to be these young, strapping youngsters, bopping along, doing the same dances we always did. The difference being he hasn't changed shape. He's still incredibly fit. So in his 60s, he could still do all the same dances and walk off on his own.
Yeah,
I probably needed two people to help carry me after the dancing, but my adrenaline let me do everything we used to do. So we stayed friends. Jimmy, Richard, June, and I, we all live quite close to each other. But Jimmy's very happily retired. So I don't think we'll be musically doing anything together. But it is definitely worth raising a glass to. And maybe it would be good to have a dinner party and invite Richard and June and some of those people round, and we can reminisce and raise a glass.
fantastic. And because that song achieved platinum success in the UK, is it a
Yeah.
great feeling it's still being played to this very day by DJs, including myself, and packing dance floors out?
Absolutely. It's a great, I mean, everybody can dance around. I mean, they don't do that now, but back in the day it was dancing around your handbag to that tune. And it was right bang in the middle of Thatcher's Britain. So it was it felt like a celebration at a time where everybody was rather desperate. It was a song that was needed, And I had, this is a funny story, but I had a new knee, and I am allergic to nearly every medication, so I couldn't be knocked out. I was conscious for my knee being removed and a new one being put in. And they had a Spotify playlist being played, and just as my knee had been sawn off, "Don't Leave Me This Way" came on their playlist. And the anaesthetist said, "Did you know," to the surgeon, "Did you know that's her, by the way?" And the surgeon said, "You're joking." So the entire rest of my operation was to my own soundtrack. They were playing all of my songs. But I just thought it was so weird that my knee had been removed and on came the song, "Don't Leave Me This Way."
That's a great anecdote.
Yeah.
Cool. And yeah, well, on to today now. You are plugging and promoting a new album called The Sisterhood Part 2. Can
Yeah.
you just tell me a little bit more about this latest project?
Okay. So in the second lockdown, I wanted to do a project with my husband, just a research project, because you couldn't go out. I needed the new knee, and we don't have a television, so we read to each other. So I said I wanted to find out about all the female singer-songwriters that had paved the way for me. And I made a long list, and they were all singers that meant something to my own journey. So they wouldn't be everybody's choice. And as we were reading and researching, we fell in love with their life stories. So I'd already loved the music, and we suddenly realized this could be a very interesting album project. And so it starts. It's really about paying homage to those sisters that paved the way for all of these young. There's many, many wonderful young singer-songwriters in the charts at the moment, but they're there because of these women. These women, they broke the ground that allowed them to walk and fly. So I chose 10 for that first album, and I wrote and I saw it as the passing of the torch from generation to generation. So it starts with Bessie Smith, who's the founding sister, and it finished with Kate Bush, who's 1 year older than me. So in my head, she passed the torch to me. So very respectfully wrote their life story. And then with Tony Remy, who's my right-hand man, fantastic guitarist and songwriter with me. He was Annie Lennox's guitarist for many, many years. So he and I decided to musically write their song in their genre. And that made it really exciting for us. It meant that we called on everything we'd ever learned in music. And we launched that at the Alexandra Palace Theatre 2 years ago on International Women's Day. And it was a success, and it was Jazz FM album of the month, and each track connected with people. And we had Ricky Lee Jones actually write to us and tell us that she cried so many tears that we told her truth in song. We talked about her relationship with Tom Waits. Everything was in her song. And then Tony and I, once that was released and we started touring it around Europe, we realized we couldn't stop writing because there were so many more women to write about. So we wrote about another 11. So we've written now about 21 female singer-songwriters that shape popular music. So in this second volume, which we've just released, which is also Jazz FM album of the week, we've now written about Amy Winehouse, Sinead O'Connor, Bonnie Raitt, Joan Baez, Etta James, Joan Armatrading, Tracy Chapman, Dolly Parton, Peggy Seeger, and Janice Ian. And Janice Ian, who wrote At 17, which is the backdrop to so many people's life story. Beautifully crafted song. As we were rehearsing for our big launch last weekend, and the album had just come out that day, a ping went on my mobile because I am the label, I'm the manager, I'm the agent, I'm the financer, I'm the writer, and the producer. That's kind of what I do. So anybody buys an album from my website, it pings up on my phone. I looked at it and it looked like somebody called Janice Ian had ordered the CD in America. Is that Janice Ian that we've written about? So I quickly sent a message saying, "Are you Janice Ian?" And she said, "Yes, I'd heard that you'd written a song and I wanted to have the album." And I said, "Well, we were trying to track you down and send it to you. It'll take a while to get to America. Can I send you the Dropbox link so you can hear your song?" And then she emailed back about an hour later saying that the research we'd done was phenomenal, that it was reminiscent of her song At 17, but her song is called The Dignity of Love. And she said, "The dignity of love, I could not have written my life story better. Thank you."
Great, because in my notes here it says The Dignity of Love is a beautiful song. It's an epic because it registers at 9 minutes and 30
I
seconds
know
long.
it's not radio friendly, is it?
And it also features, the orchestral band. You feel like you really like enjoy singing on this one, showcasing your
Yeah.
voice.
Yes, but it was just we take you off on such a long journey because there's such a long narrative to her song. But it's wonderful to know that that paid off and that she acknowledged what we put into it and that we spoke her truth. So yes, we've got a whole string section from Rome on that. We've got brass, which we wanted to have a chorus that was reminiscent of Bacharach, and that's basically flute and flugelhorn. So we asked the chaps who are friends of ours to do that brass arrangement. I've got my friends Beverly Skeet and Gina Foster, who are both phenomenal singers in their own right, helping me with backing vocals. And we've got Dominic Miller, Sting's guitarist, who's playing nylon string on it as well. And of course, Tony doing all the guitars. But I just think it has this beautiful journey that it goes on. And the message is, you know, the dignity of love is for everyone. That is, it's he, she, thou, thee. It's our future. It's everything.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful way to close the album.
Yeah. And you mentioned Etta James as well, who had hits with At Last and I Just Want to Make Love for You from that famous soft drinks
Yeah.
advert. It's on the album, also known as Etta James. Was she a musical artist who was in your record
Oh,
box?
absolutely she was. And when you start to read about her life, I mean, it was train crash after train crash. It was just unbelievable. You couldn't imagine that people could survive this journey. And part of the journey was heroin addiction. But she was already singing at 15, already having sort of hits. She knew everyone. She knew Otis Redding, she knew Sly of the Family Stone, and she knew Johnny Guitar Watson. And she said that Sly and Johnny were two of the most creative people she ever encountered. Now, everybody was inspired by her. You know, you had the Stones going to check her out. You had Elvis Presley checking her out. She was the woman that could sing the blues and jazz. But her mum always wanted her to be sort of stylish in the way that Billie Holiday was. She was never going to be that. And that's why, right at the very end of her song, we say, that Satan shivered when he heard her, and that he, all of those sisters that had gone, that had passed over. He basically said, that Billy's was the most talked about name, but what the devil wanted to know was which one of them was Etta James, because she had that kind of that incredible scream. The one part of her story which was incredible was she was she had many friends who were a lot of musicians were in and out of prison, either because they were also pimps or because of their drug addictions. And she was contacted by a friend of hers who was a songwriter, a musician in prison. He was in Chino prison. And he contacted her on the phone from prison saying, "Look, this song keeps going around my head. I want to play it to you. I just feel it's for you. I've just written a couple of lyrics, but I know that you can sort it out." So she arrived. She I don't know if she drove there or caught a bus there, and the prison guard, let him play on the honky tonk piano in the day room this song to Etta, which she took away, and it became "I'd Rather Go Blind." So that's why I say you bust this a song about love and the power to blind was formed in the Chino prison, but she busted the other half free. So that became her huge hit, and that's such an interesting story as to how it came about.
Fascinating. And one of your lead singles as well, which we're hoping to play on my sister radio show, is about the edge is where the magic is found. Was that about the late Amy
Amy
Winehouse?
Winehouse, yes. So Tony actually played with Amy at the Jazz Cafe, so he has early memories of her. I never met her, but I thought she was a phenomenal singer-songwriter because she absolutely wrote her truth. It was very painful often to listen to that somebody was that naked and raw in front of us. But I loved the fact that she and the record company decided on the Phil Spector sound, because obviously we're all familiar with that. It was a very good way of selling her music. But she was steeped in jazz from a very early age. She loved Sarah Vaughan and all the old jazz artists. She did that wonderful duet with Tony Bennett. You could tell she was a real jazzer. So we decided we'd write a jazz ballad for her. And the lyrics that I'm pleased about, well, they kind of they give me a smile as I sing them. I say that she's Queen Nefertiti meets Ronnie Ronette, the Camden Town cookie no one could forget, and that she never stood on solid ground, that the edge is where the magic is found. I mean, it's tragic the way her life played out, and we can only imagine what kind of amazing songs she would be writing now had she survived. Because she had fallen in love with someone else. It did look like there was a future, a different future to this uh, the tragic years that she'd had, being married to somebody that was messing her about and got her hooked on drugs. She obviously had an addictive personality, and that was obvious from her mother's book, from her father's book. But what a singer-songwriter, and what a tragedy that she only made it to
Hmm.
27.
Agreed. And the Sisterhood 2 out now on all good outlets as well. What was it like your recent it was an event launch for
Oh
the
yes,
album. How did
so
that
we
go with
launched.
your
It
full
was
live piece
fantastic.
band?
We had a 12-piece band, and in fact, Sally, who was in the Communards with me, she was one of the string arrangers. So she and her husband came and played violin and cello. We had a 12-piece band, and we had a 35-piece masterclass choir. Because some of the way that I financed this, because it had to all come out of my way, me doing concerts and me doing songwriting weekends or me doing masterclasses. And I got people from all over Europe to come over and stay in St Leonard's, and I would teach them three-part harmonies In this case, it was to 6 songs. So they got up on stage. So there were 12 musicians and 35 men and women around us singing these songs, all of which helped finance and give this project wings to fly.
Fantastic. And where's best for people to follow you on, say, like social media, if you have a website, or if you want to purchase, your latest
Latest
album?
album. Well, I've got a good website, which is sarahjanemorris.co.uk, and they can find out about all the dates there, and that's where they can buy, that's where they can download various tracks, that's where they can buy the various albums and vinyl and CD. And also, I've got quite a good Instagram account, so it's Sarah_Jane_Morris. And I'm very, I do a lot of social media because it's up to me to put bottoms on seats. It's up to me to make this project run. So I'm on there a lot and I try to engage with people. And I'm one of those artists that, I am the same on stage as I am off stage. I love doing what I do, but I'm just like everybody else. I love my fellow humans and I love meeting people after the concert and talking with them. They don't have to buy the CD, just connecting. And I can't do that. I can't do what I do without them. It's this beautiful circle. I give and it's given back to me from the love from an audience. And sometimes it's people that have been following me all my career, and often it's people that have never come across me before, and somebody's bought a ticket to them for something, and it's lovely to connect no matter how, I'm going to be 67 on Saturday. So I've been doing this for a long time, but in my 60s, I'm vocally at my best. I love with a passion more and more that which I do. I know how lucky I am to still be doing it. A lot of my peer group are not. And as long as I can stay fit enough to carry on doing it, I'd love to think that I was maybe like Peggy Seeger, who's one of the women that I've written about, who is 91 this year. Maybe I can still be singing like she is and still touring. Let's hope. That's what I wish for.
May it long continue for you. And I just wanted to say thank you very much for your contribution on today's show. We'll put all the links to your website in the links below on my channel. And
Thank
we
you.
will play your lead single on my syndicated show, which is The Edge is Where the Magic is Found. I think that's everything I
Thank you
wanted to ask
so
you for
much.
today. You're a star. Thanks for answering my questions, Sarah Jane Morris, on today's show. Pleasure.
Thank you so much for making the time to have me on.
You're
Take care.
welcome. Take care.
Bye
Take care.
bye.